This is Lemon's Car Spotting. You post to Instagram with the hashtag Lemon's Car Spotting. We pick the hooptiest.
They are so incredibly terrible.
And which one we want to become a real Lemons build.
It does car-like things. We've been pushing for one of those in Lemons too, and those are very affordable.
Hey everybody, we're back again. It's Jay and Eric. We are here for Lemon's Car Spotting. You all know how this works because you saw the open. Eric pointed out that these things are called the open. You find stuff out in the world. You hashtag Lemon's Car Spotting. When you've taken the picture, you post it to Instagram. We talk about it. We are going to pick the hooptiest of this next batch and the car that we most want to see a Lemons build. And to do that, I think it's my turn to do the hands again. I still have the L on one and the H from earlier today when we started filming previous episodes. So, you ready?
Do it. Stop.
Oh, wait. This one was actually higher.
That one was up. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's the Lemons build.
Which means you draw the hooptiest once we are through the whole set of 10.
All right. I'm ready. Let's jump in. First up today. I have to say, we're not organized enough to put these in order. I mean, it's just totally random which one comes up. Man, we've been starting with winners.
Same guy too. Yeah, Fritz Armstrong. The last one that we filmed, which may be out of order when it's all said and done.
Is becoming the new Jake, I gotta say, because there's a lot of winners here. Wow.
I feel like this guy walked into an AutoZone, maybe even an AutoZone distributor, and was like, "I'll have all of the stick-ons, all of them.
I'll have one of each, please."
Well, there's way more than one. I mean, there's like 12 of each thing on there.
That's really something else. Well, clearly he's got a lot of time on his hands, so that's good. What is it with the skull anyway? What is it with Jake replica jawless skull?
I don't know. I want to point out that they remembered to do the practical thing, which is to put the little rain covers on the windows too. You don't want to forget those.
Yeah, you definitely want to remember that. So that's just silver stripe stuff, like trim stripe?
Yeah, I guess so. I think it's just stick on like fake chrome.
Yeah, that's really good. So do you remember your first car, or what your parents would sort of get you all prepared, and the car, it's this really expensive thing, and don't screw with it, and you got to take care of it, and it's always been fascinating to me that there's just this whole other and frankly much healthier world out there. Like, well, if I get a car, I'm gonna put my stuff on it.
That's right.
It's just a car. It's like, that's so much smarter. Wow.
Well, I gotta say, I did that with my Ford Focus. I bought that car, low miles used. I took pristine care of it for like 6 years, and then it started to rust anyway. So I just sticker bombed the entire back of the thing. I was like, well, at this point, it's not worth anything less if I put stickers on it.
Yeah. Isn't it really a great sense of liberation when you finally make that transition?
Totally. Yeah.
So what even is this? Is this a Camry?
I think it's an Avalon, if I'm reading. You can barely see it under the American flag on the back, because of course you need an American flag on something like this.
Right. On your Avalon. And a wing on your Avalon, because the Avalon is the performance sedan. So, that's brilliant.
I love that wing probably took it from being like a 35 mile per gallon car on the highway to like 19.
Exactly. But at 150, he is generating 8 pounds of downforce. So,
that's right.
Yeah, it's really keeping it firmly planted.
He could drive on the ceiling of a tunnel at 1,400 miles an hour.
Exactly. But only on the rear axle. So,
yeah.
He needs the early McLaren F1 wing on stilts on the front. So, really good. Oh, man. The hits keep coming. Well, I mean, is this for like a testing company? What the hell are we? Who wants this?
I mentioned this on an earlier episode we filmed, that Fritz is one of those guys who went back and tagged old posts
Yeah.
with Lemon's car spotting.
Yeah.
This was taken like at the time that that the world shut down. So I don't know who on short notice is able to do this, but it's kind of impressive.
It's really something. That's really good. And what I like about this is you'd think this would be a company, it's a testing company, it's a whatever, but I don't see any logos. I think it's just a crazy person.
Yeah.
It's really something else. It doesn't hurt that, it's a late Volkswagen Beetle, because talk about terrible cars.
Yeah.
This is that second generation of the modern Beetle, and geez, why? Why does it exist?
Yeah, they kind of stretched it out, and I guess that if there was any appeal to the first new Beetle, there was this like neat little symmetrical car. If you look at it from the side, it's kind of cute in its own way. But this, I don't get it.
Yeah, well, and I think the thing about the first generation is, like it or hate it, at least it was really the thing. The proportions were really different. It was as tall as it was long. It was truly round. Yeah. At least it was different. This is just shilly-shallying around a bad idea. This is a bad idea without the commitment to its principles. So I think, adding a deadly virus on top of it doesn't hurt. So, very, very, very impressive. We may get to a place where we just can't allow J bodies in these conversations anymore, because it could just become the J body channel.
Yeah. Yep. Man,
perfect.
Sunbird. Yeah. So the Sunbird was the one you could get with the turbo on the Opel motor, which was
an Opel motor.
Yeah, it was they made a big deal that they finally had an overhead cam engine that wasn't the Vega engine, and it had come from Opel, and it was like 90 horsepower naturally aspirated, but you could get a turbo on it that made it like 160. And you and I know how to do that kind of math, that when you do that to an engine, like the life expectancy goes from 80,000 miles to about 14. So
it's pretty good. And then there's what's that, a 944, or maybe even a I guess that's a 944. It's a closed headlight car, I think. So pretty good stuff. I remember these when they came out with the 5-speed. Man, that was, the Europeans were terrified. They were never going to recover from the onslaught of Detroit.
That's right. And an overhead cam engine.
Oh, brilliant. All righty. Yeah, pretty good stuff.
These are
about 71, maybe? I really don't know these that well.
It could be anywhere from like a 70 to like a 77-ish.
You think
they're all kind of
the same?
Yeah.
Wheel
spats.
That has aged really well, actually. I would totally drive that car.
They are fantastic Lemons rally machines. Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
Comfortable.
So much room.
Yeah.
It doesn't, unbothered by any road conditions. It won't turn, but that's okay.
This is America. We don't turn on American roads. That's too good to be in this channel. It looks straight as an arrow. Paint looks good. Good stance. It's kind of got it all going on. I'm liking this car a lot. I would totally own this car.
So when we're done here, you're gonna go to eBay Motors and look up Lincoln Continentals.
You know what? I'm gonna go to the Mississauga, Ontario Craigslist, and I'm gonna see if I can find this car and drive it back. He's even rocking the tint. He's even got the Mafia tint in the back.
So good.
Yeah, that's pretty outstanding. It's interesting that you really can't tell that from the Mopar equivalent, though. They were visually almost the exact same cars.
Yeah. Yeah, the New Yorker, the spats went to the body line, but otherwise,
Pretty
indistinguishable.
much the same car, yeah. Yeah. All right, what else we got? Oh.
You were
Well,
saying something about the J Body channel. This is obviously the
uh-huh,
spiritual successor of that.
uh-huh. You know, I don't even want to talk about this car. It's so depressing.
You know, this is one of those cars we figure we would have seen 12,000 of these at
Right.
Lemons races by now. And Lemons people aren't that dumb, it turns out. They don't want anything to do with these cars.
Is that why, or is it they're just not out there? They're just not out there to even find anymore.
Oh, they're everywhere. I
Yeah.
see them all the time. And
Really?
Yeah, I mean that you can buy them with a stick. I still see people driving manual transmission ones. They're out there, and people like the Ecotech engine,
Yeah.
but they put it in other stuff so they don't have to deal with everything else terrible about this car.
About the Cobalt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can safely say, living on the West Coast, I have not seen one of those in the wild literally for 3 years.
Right.
Like,
Right. This is
not a single one.
This is the Ohio Honda Civic, is
Yeah.
what this is.
Depressing. Now this, on the other hand, yeah, you're actually talking. These were fantastic vehicles, greatly underrated. Although, what's going on with those wheels? That's right at the tip of my tongue. What's that from? Where's Scott when we need him? You recognize those wheels, right?
They're General Motors, aren't they?
Yeah, like Alero or something.
I was thinking like the
Or
weird Cutlass Supremes. Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
With the white. I mean, yeah, they're definitely older than the car. That's like an 80s set of wheels on this car. So these two-door early RAV4s were so much fun to drive. You just couldn't believe how kind of perky and sticky and grippy they were. These were fabulous cars.
What I'm hearing you say is that these would be fantastic in a Lemons race.
I think that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
We've had a CRV, but haven't had a RAV4 yet.
Yeah, no, the CRV is not half the car that these were. And then as soon as the next generation came in, they were just, exactly what you'd think. Totally boring, tippy. Oh, why do I keep this is my fault. I don't actually know how to run these tools. Sorry.
The best part of all this is it's Lemons, and that's just our brand, so we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
This is just
as I always say, I mean, if people don't like the YouTube videos, we'll send them a refund.
That's right.
So anyway, this is a future classic. I tell you, in 20 years, if you have a pristine low mile first gen two-door RAV4, all the money. This is the Ferrari Daytona of 2040 right here. Speaking of,
yeah, this is back in Ontario.
Yeah, the sophisticated European-inspired Berlinetta drove a lot.
It's V6, according to the caption there.
A 2.8. Did they come? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's right. I guess the early 80s, yeah, they would have come with the 2.8.
Yeah, it was 2.8, 3.4, and then 3.8 after that.
Yeah. I drove a lot of these back in the day, in my automotive journalism day. And just terrible. Just unbelievably terrible. Tiny on the inside, huge on the outside. Everything rattled, wouldn't accelerate. GM sound of power, just had it all going on. Had the bowling ball stick shift on top that you basically couldn't wrap two hands around. It was like trying to palm an NBA official basketball. Yeah, not good.
They had good dashboards, though, for the 80s. They had the whole, like, chintzy, cheesy 80s digital thing for a while, I think. Or not digital, but it was kind of pseudo.
What they had that I remember, and I think it was only the earlier ones, if I can recall, they had the speedometer where it was kilometers on one side and MPH on the other, and it would turn from the center. I always thought, man, that's impressive. That's really something. That's some engineering right there. Not thinking, Well, that was General Motors. We can't save 4 cents if we don't have to have a separate instrument panel for Canada. It is so much cheaper this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Those, just so not good.
Well, at least they didn't save money on any other part of the car. They didn't cheapen out on any of it.
That's a good point. Well, you must have had like the cute girl in Midwestern high school must have driven one of these. Not so much.
A cute girl. It's the cute girl with the good car at my school was like a 76 Nova 4-door with a V8. So no, we didn't have the Camaro chick.
The Camaro chick went to the private Catholic school.
That's right. 100%.
Yeah. All right.
The Camaro owners were the guys you thought they would be,
Right.
the mullet, pack of cigarettes in the leather jacket, like literally being a stereotype kind of thing.
Right for cassette stuck in the player. Yeah.
Yep.
On auto return. Yeah.
Yeah. Where is Phil when you need him?
I know. This is really right up his alley. Well,
which one is this? Is this the Hyundai or is this the Kia?
I think this is the Kia, but they all went through that we want to have a fake Mercedes E-Class phase. All of the makers went through it, including Jaguar. So
right.
I don't know. I can't even tell them. I can't tell them apart. Should we text Phil? We're going to move on, and I'm going to text Phil a picture of this right now and ask him what it is, and we'll see what he says. So vamp for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it was, they obviously like took sections of other European cars and were like, let's figure out the cheapest way to do that.
Yeah.
So, there's some Mercedes, there's some Jaguar that's actually ripping off Mercedes. And then the rear was kind of also Jaguars. And now that I look at it, there's a face in the car that is kind of frighteningly clownish. So the eye has the the eyeball is in the big, and then it's got this big wide grin, and it's kind of horrifying to look at the more I look at it.
It is the vaguely clowny version of a launched whatever model that is, the mid-90s E-Class. Yeah. Which, to be fair, okay, so this was a Korean car copying a Jaguar, copying a Mercedes, but the Mercedes was copying a 60s and 70s Jaguar again. So
right,
it all comes full circle.
What were they building in Korea in the 1960s?
That's a really interesting question. That's a very interesting question. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is a Kia.
Yeah.
And it's going to be... no, I'm not going to offer a model name because I will just not get it right.
It is the Amante. It's the Kia Amante.
I think that's exactly right.
We've literally been tap dancing around this because neither of us had any fucking clue what it's called.
The period of pained silence when the car came up. Like, I hope he knows. No.
Did you drive one of these? No, nobody drove one of these. No. These don't exist.
Think about this car. I'll bet you that's like a 2014. Like, I want to think it's a 99, but I'll bet it is not a 99.
It's at least a mid 2000s.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on because Phil hasn't responded. So internet, in the comments section, tell us we're idiots because we already know that. Tell us exactly what year that is. And if it's not a Kia, tell us that too. What do we have here?
Oh, this is that weird Lancer. Yeah.
So why didn't they make an Evo version of this body? Because that's a car I would have actually had. Put the dogs in the back. And maybe they did, and they just didn't bring it here. I'll bet you that they did and didn't bring it here.
Yeah, this goes back to a conversation that keeps cropping up on these, which is that America gets the worst of everything from Mitsubishi, and also Suzuki did, probably even Hyundai, if we're being honest about it. But, Mitsubishi is their trucks are considered in the same way that Toyota trucks are in a lot of parts of the world.
No, they're not.
Well, in like Vietnam, where
Okay.
you're happy with what you can buy, basically.
Right, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's Mitsubishi's target market is there's nothing else, basically.
No, Mitsubishi has always staked out, and they do it here too. They've staked out the people who are not in a financial position to own a Toyota. That's
Right.
always been their niche, and relatively successful niche. I mean,
Well,
if Mitsubishi hadn't had 0% financing on everything always for the last 30 years, they wouldn't exist now.
I think you just answered your question on why we didn't get the wagon. Is because, the Outlander that's built on the Dodge Journey platform was much cheaper for them to make and then sell to people who couldn't finance the RAV4. So,
Yeah, and I think the Mitsubishi buyer is buying the Mitsubishi despite it being a Mitsubishi, not because it's a Mitsubishi.
right.
So really doesn't matter what they're selling them.
To that point, though, I guess did they make an Evo version? They made a weird Evo version of something, and I don't remember what it was.
Well, I know that in other markets there are Evo wagons, and there's probably an Evo of this. And all the time when I've been looking for cars, and I mean, they need something I can put my dog in always. That's job one is, can I bring the dog? And job two is, what's the car? I mean, those are my priorities, and just can't do it. Can't do it. The one that you could do it was the WRX, the 5-door WRX, and I just couldn't make myself. I love those cars, but I would not want to own one of those cars. So, whereas an Evo, I'd own an Evo.
Really? That's interesting.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, have you ever driven them back to back, a WRX equivalent Evo? Like night and day. Yeah, yeah. Evo is so much better. I mean, WRX is great. Evo is infinitely better. So, like an Evo, you might die, but it's not going to be because the engine falls out and you drove over it. So, yeah, really a whole different thing. So.
Yeah, I remember Phil had an Evo at a Lemons race that he'd gotten from the press fleet, and they were like, the one press fleet guy was like, "Yeah, I guess I don't know, I don't know anything about it. Good luck, So
yeah, have you driven one at all?
I've never driven an Evo. No.
Oh yeah, no, you got it, man. They're spectacular. They're so good. And there was a period, I don't know my Evos. I mean, there are spiky haired younger people than I who really understand the ins and outs of those. But there was this handful that didn't have a wing, didn't have the little air separators at the top. I mean, it just looks like a dorky ass, ugly, unknowable four-door sedan. And man, what a great car that'd be for the city. Like, nobody would know what you were driving. They wouldn't screw with it. You could park it anywhere. Gotta have one. On the subject, gotta have one. This not one of those cars. That's about a, I don't know, 65. It's whatever that early to mid 60s generation is. Actually, this one looks pretty solid.
Yeah.
For the junkyard.
Right. The interior looks there, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah. They did, unfortunately, kind of build these pretty well. I mean, they're slow, they're complicated. They don't steer. The steering on these is just unbelievably vague and sloppy, but the materials on these are pretty goddamn good. I hate to say it.
This is the legendary fintail, is it not?
I believe that, yes. I believe that is correct. And, I don't remember the nomenclature of these the way that I should. But up until very recently, this was also about a $1,500 car. I mean, nobody wanted this crap. I had a 220 diesel version of this body. Not a terrible car. Not fast, but not a terrible car. We've seen, I know Ed Adams ran one of these early, like in the second Altamont race. Have we seen any others?
Brandon Spears had something similar to this. I think it might have been slightly later.
Yeah.
And the Knox Vegas Lowballers brought a diesel one on the rally that was very, very slowly running away the whole time. And then they were managing it by they made a cover to like manage the intake. And then, when it shut off, they would have to pull start it with somebody else's car, and then it would continue to run away. And
that all sounds right.
Yeah.
That
So
all sounds right. Yeah, the one diesel Benz that I owned, getting it to turn off was 50-50. If you tried to walk away, only half the time would the car stop. So
did you fashion a block to block the intake, or
no? I figured out there's a manual cutoff on the fuel pump, but of course fuel pump's down where the starter normally is on a normal car. So I would just carry a broomstick around that I put a little notch out, and you'd have to open the hood, thread your way down like, and it would die, and then you have to close the hood and put the broomstick back, and go pee in the AM PM, and then you'd have to go start
attempt to,
yeah. Fine vehicle, excellent vehicle.
I think I don't know how many Lemons people know that you've lived the life so fully that they do, and I always appreciate hearing those little bits of Jay owning shit boxes.
I mean, I'm 55 years old, and it was only in my early 40s that I said, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. The 14 to 40 something, there's a 30-year chunk when, like all I drove.
Yeah.
I don't even think I think the first car I had with working air conditioning, I was well into my 30s. I mean, it was embarrassing. So,
familiar with that one.
Yeah. So,
well,
and the amazing thing, I don't really feel like I need to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a corner you can actually turn and you don't look back.
Yeah. I'm delighted other people are doing it, but I don't want to be turning off my car with a broomstick anymore. I just don't. I feel bad about it, but not that bad. So,
yeah, we'll have to isolate that quote there and use it again and again.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's our 10.
What is your hoopty?
My hoopty, boy, that's it really should be a Lancer Sportback. You want to be fair. I think that's probably the hooptiest, but yeah, I'm going Lancer Sportback. Even though it's a brand new car that looked like it only had 5,000 miles on it, that is the hooptiest car of this show, hands down. And history will prove me right. Sticking to it.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep.
For the car we want to see turned into a Lemon, I'm going to go with Jay and say a RAV4 with a stick in Lemons.
Yeah.
Going to be pretty great.
Yeah.
Somebody should do that.
You know what? That car, you're going to have a great time. It's going to run. It's going to be easy to put a cage in, and you're going to like driving it. I think that is the undiscovered country. That's my advice. Somebody else should do it.
There we go. Make sure when you're out and about, again, good to be out and about again, you are tagging your spotting with Lemon's Car Spotting. We will talk about it on this YouTube channel. We will see you guys next Thursday.
Thanks. Bye. Okay.